What I was trying to capture with the new work was a historical moment, like I think I was trying to suspend a historical moment. I'm a storyteller at heart and a historian at that. And I do believe that stuff that I do read, it's always informing my next move, my next body of work or what I'm doing next. That information that I collect from the books that I read it's like I have like a very keen interest in history in a South African context. So this body of work was pretty much built on that. It was built on my continuous, obsession of like sophiatown, like the olden days, like the 50s, the 40s, 50s, 60s. In that spectrum, there's also like discourse, there's also like conflict, mostly obviously unrest because of like the political system and the political atmosphere of the time, no pun intended, but beautiful things came from that unrest, i.e. like King Kong, Mapantsula, the movie, and resistance, for the betterment of the community and the people around us, or around them at the time. So yeah, just like things that I read, they informed the better part of this body of work. And I was trying to capture like a time buried, like moments that are buried in books, stories that are buried in books. And so I'm capturing like three things in essence. I'm capturing Alexander Township almost being destroyed, like how they did Sophiatown, with the same premise. So there were people that were like against that. That's what I'm representing in this work. And who are those people, right? And Todd Machigisa, King Kong, music again. I was searching for the representation of me, which is like through black people and black excellence or creative excellence in that sense. And like these bodies, they archival bodies that I'm depicting. With Panic, he's holding, in the original picture, he's holding a wallet with a knife. But I changed that and made him hold flowers, flowers showing that Panic had a soft side, Panic had a sensitive side, or a side that is like not really depicted in the movie. And I think I drew that parallel to other people. Reverend Semputi, it was like there was discourse between him and the community because they didn't know if he was actually for the community because he was a pastor or like a preacher or reverend at a Dutch Reformed church, which is like definitely endorsed by, the oppressor, it seems. And now how can you be for us if you are with them? There's no way that you're going to bite the hand that feeds you. And yeah, with Alex, it's like also there's a connection that in your life you could have like a reverend as an uncle, and you can have Panic as a brother, and you can have Bratot Machigiza as a grandfather, or you can have Bratot Machigiza as a father, you can have like Panic as a brother or as an uncle, and then you have like a reverend as a stepfather. There's that in the work, depicted in the work. And then Panic Mapantsula, he's like a character that I've always like felt like I've seen this guy before, but my thing was I wish he had lived long enough in real life, Opera Thomas, so that he could have seen how prolific he could have been in the film industry. It's kind of like also me and like understanding the black experience through these characters,
Yeah.
Like it starts with Sophiatown, which is like Tot Machigisa, and then it follows through with like Alexander Township. In Tshwane, in Pitori, in Ekurhuleni, there were townships that also got demolished and they disappeared, you know. The process of the work has been heavily dependent on research. So there was like material that I had to get, like reading, obviously. Music was a big part because it always like starts with music for me. So I listened to the King Kong records, I listened to some soundtracks from like Mapantola, the soundtrack. There's songs in there. Even the title of the work is called the Ouens because of that title track, the Ouens, right? So the Ouens now represent these three characters, you know, four characters, but it's like the Ouens, Amachita, you know, and someone would say, yeah, but these are like legends, heroes, you know, and I'm like, I know they are, but to humanize them, sometimes like when things are like so heroic that they're not as human as you would imagine them to be. So when you say the Ouens, Amachita, it's like I'm bringing them back to like human form. And I wanted to talk about the underdog that also didn't consider themselves a hero until it happened, you know, which also talks about the hero with an African face. You know, it's like you are a hero only after the fact, you know, after you've done the work. While you are doing it, you're just doing your job, you know. There's three different colors that I used, right? So there's red, which is panic, is represented in the red because of like the character himself. He's a very hazardous person, you know. He goes through a lot of things. Actually, the cover of the book also has like red elements in it, which came after I had done it in red as in the background, right? So there's that theme, red, and then there's like green, which is like, it represents Tot Machigisa, which is more like greener pastures, you know, like fertile ground. Just like with King Kong came that feeling of like, oh, now we're gonna harvest, even though it was early on, but it seems like it was now we're harvesting, and it's like I'm not alone, I'm coming as us. And you know, there was a lot of people, like I said, came from the production of King Kong that, you know, ended up representing like the country in a very major way. And then the third one is yellow, and yellow is like the new dawn, you know, like the new day. If you look at the composition as three works, it does have the colors of our struggle. And I think there's been a shift, obviously, in the art industry where we're talking more about ourselves, which is great, and we talk about the future, you know. But I like to talk about maybe futurizing the past, if that's a word, you know. Try and make the past look cool, like now, like what would that be, you know? I know it's not like we're gonna get it immediately, you know, and I know that it might not even be like in our peripheral, and there might be other things that are more interesting than history, but I think history helps, gives you context, you know, because outside of this we do learn so much, especially through hip-hop, music, internet. We learn so much about other people's history, you know. We love the Louvre, we love going to Paris and experience the Eiffel Tower. We forget about our own heritage moments, and maybe some of those moments are stolen and now they are buried in books, and now we can't have access to those things because of like the time that we live in. But we are actually embracing other people's things, you know. My point of this is like I want people to understand how great we were, even through the interference, you know, and how great we could have been if we were not disturbed by that moment, you know. So I come from a musical inspired family, and music that I listen to is like a representation of Alexander Township at the time that I wasn't even around. And because Alex has like reminiscence of Sophiatown and all these old townships, like with Panic is like this element, you know, of like just the charismatic guy, you know, like the uncle that we all had. And if you didn't, you wish you had, you know. And it's like, so, and there's parts of me that I see in these people too. It might not be like in a very large value, but like there's a part of me that actually exists in those elements, in those guys, you know. I want to have things that have like a story to tell, like a long narrative that even when the work goes away somewhere, it continues the story, you know.